Brighton. Summer, 1871. The salt air rolls in off the channel. The promenade is alive with the clatter of day trippers, families, children, the smell of fresh sea bread and warm sugar. A small boy, 4 years old, Charles Miller's nephew, Sidney, points at the window of a sweet shop on West Street. His uncle smiles. How could he not? The chocolates look perfect. Pale. Round. Dusted with fine cream. Perfectly ordinary. That was the point. Within 30 minutes of eating those chocolates, Sidney Albert Barker was convulsing on the floor of his lodgings. His uncle screamed for a doctor. The doctor came. But there was nothing to be done. Sidney was dead before the sun went down. The coroner recorded a verdict of accidental death. The sweet shop owner, a respectable man named John Maynard, was questioned and released. No one was charged. And 3 miles away, in a comfortable drawing room on Gloucester Place, a woman read the newspaper report of the inquest. And she smiled. To understand what Christiana Edmunds did, you first have to understand the world she was trapped in. Brighton in 1871 was not the rough and tumble Brighton of the working poor. It was a resort. A playground for the respectable classes. Grand Regency terraces faced the sea. Doctors, solicitors, and retired officers walked the promenade with their wives. And it was into one of those terraces, number 16, Gloucester Place, that Christiana Edmunds had retreated. She was 42 years old. Unmarried. A lady of modest independent means, living with her widowed mother. By Victorian standards, this was not a tragedy, it was an invisible life sentence. She had been privately educated. She was described, repeatedly, as very pretty. She played piano. She read voraciously. And she had, as those around her would later testify, a manner that was charming to the point of being unnerving. Her family background was, to use the language of the time, troubled. Her father, a successful architect who had designed the Holy Trinity Church in Margate, had died in a state of what polite society called nervous collapse. A brother had spent years in a lunatic asylum. A sister had taken her own life. Christiana had been diagnosed with hysteria in her 20s. In 1871, this diagnosis meant almost nothing, and everything. The accused is a person of genteel appearance and considerable personal attractions, whose behavior since her arrest has been a source of considerable remark among those attending the proceedings. Across the road from Gloucester Place lived Dr. Charles Beard. He was handsome. He was educated. He was married. Christiana fell for him completely. What followed, over the course of 1869 and 1870, was, depending on whose account you believe, either a passionate illicit affair or an intense, one-sided obsession. That Dr. Beard struggled to disentangle himself from gracefully. At trial, Beard would call it a mild flirtation. The defense would call it something considerably less mild. Either way, by September 1870, Dr. Beard had made his position clear. It was over. Christiana was to remove herself from his life. She did not remove herself. Instead, she appeared at his door a few days later, carrying a gift. A box of chocolate creams. She brought chocolates to the wife of the man she loved. But here is the question that will haunt the rest of this story: was Christiana Edmunds a cold, calculating killer, or a woman whose mind had been consumed by a grief she could not control? Emily Beard ate the chocolates. Within the hour, she was violently ill. Vomiting. Trembling. The chocolates, she would later say, had tasted, and hear the word she used, was specific, very disagreeable. She recovered. Her husband suspected Christiana immediately. He had no proof. He said nothing to the police, presumably, as historians have noted, because the alternative would have required him to explain exactly how well he knew his neighbor. He banned Christiana from his home. He hoped that would be the end of it. It was not the end of it. What Christiana Edmunds did next was not the act of a broken-hearted woman acting on impulse. It was a plan. Methodical. Sustained. Spanning months. She began visiting John Maynard's confectionery shop at 39 West Street. She purchased chocolate creams, quantities of them. She took them home. In her drawing room, using a syringe, she injected them with strychnine. Then she returned them to Maynard's, claiming they were not quite right, too large or not to her taste. Would he exchange them for different ones? He would. He always would. He was a shopkeeper. That was his job. And so John Maynard, entirely unknowing, put the poisoned chocolates back on his shelf. Back into the public supply. People began to fall ill across Brighton. Stomach cramps. Convulsions. Violent sickness. The symptoms of strychnine poisoning are not subtle, the body arches, the muscles seize, the victim is often fully conscious throughout. The police had no framework for this. Victorian forensics in 1871 meant limited toxicology, no fingerprinting, no organized detective division. In Brighton, the peelers, Brighton's constabulary, were built for pickpockets and pub brawls. They were not built for this. Poisonous sweets. Several persons at Brighton have been seriously ill in consequence, it is supposed, of eating poisoned sweets purchased at a confectioner's shop in the town. Christiana, meanwhile, was consolidating her alibi with extraordinary patience. She began paying local boys, street children, errand runners, to go to Maynard's and purchase chocolates on her behalf. This way, she could not be placed directly at the counter. She also began obtaining strychnine through multiple chemists, using different pretexts at each one, most commonly, the claim that she needed it to kill stray cats. In June 1871, a man named Charles Miller arrived in Brighton on holiday with his young nephew, Sidney. They visited Maynard's. Sidney ate the chocolates. Within half an hour, Sidney was dead. The coroner's inquest was held. Strychnine was confirmed in the chocolate. And yet, because there was no proof of intent, no evidence that anyone had deliberately poisoned the specific sweet Sidney ate, David Black, the Brighton coroner, returned a verdict of accidental death. Maynard was exonerated. Christiana attended the inquest. She gave testimony. She told the jury that she too had become ill after purchasing items from Maynard's shop, that she was, like Sidney, a victim. She was not a victim. She was the author of all of it. But here is where the story takes a turn that most true crime channels never discuss. After Sidney's death, Christiana didn't stop. She escalated. Because she realized something terrifying, that she was completely invisible. And invisibility made her reckless. She traveled to London. At various post offices across the city, far from Brighton, far from anyone who knew her, she posted 6 parcels. Poisoned plum cake and chocolates, addressed to prominent members of Brighton society. including Mrs. Beard. Including, to divert suspicion, one addressed to herself. No one died from the parcels. But the police, by now comparing handwriting across the case, noticed something. The labels on the parcels matched letters that had been written, love letters, by a woman in Gloucester Place. Dr. Beard, by now genuinely frightened, went to the police and told them everything he had kept silent about for a year. On the 17th of August, 1871, Christiana Edmunds was arrested. The trial of Christiana Edmunds opened in Brighton in late 1871. The public interest was so overwhelming, the streets outside the court impassable with crowds, that the proceedings were moved to London's Old Bailey in January 1872. And there, in the most famous criminal court in the world, the Victorian press got exactly what it wanted, a story it could not have invented. Christiana entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. The prosecution's case was overwhelming. Witnesses confirmed she had paid boys to purchase the chocolates. Chemists testified she had purchased strychnine. The handwriting matched. The timeline was airtight. But the defense made a different argument. They did not dispute the facts. They disputed the mind behind the facts. Her mother took the stand. She testified to a family history of mental illness on both sides, her late husband's breakdown, the brother in the asylum, the sister who had died by suicide. She wept. The court was moved. The trial which terminated yesterday revealed one of the strangest and most horrible stories possibly ever told in a court of justice. A prominent psychiatric expert, Dr. William Orange, testified that Christiana could not, at the time of her crimes, distinguish right from wrong. That her obsession with Dr. Beard had not been vanity or wickedness, but a symptom of hereditary insanity. And here we reach the question that historians and criminologists have debated for over 150 years. Was Christiana Edmunds mad, or was she simply a woman who had calculated correctly that madness was her only exit? Consider this: every single step of her poisoning campaign, the use of boy intermediaries, the multiple chemists, the London parcels, the false testimony at the inquest, required sustained, rational, strategic thinking. Does that sound like a mind that could not distinguish right from wrong? The Victorian press was not equipped to sit with that ambiguity. Newspapers had two categories for women who killed: the pitiable lunatic, and the monstrous. Christiana, with her genteel manners and her obsessive love story, was assigned the first. Christiana was a woman driven to murder after being spurned by the man she loved. A framing the press embraced because it made the story comprehensible. A love story gone wrong. Not a woman who chose, deliberately, to poison a public food supply. But there are darker readings. Theory 1. Christiana was genuinely experiencing a psychotic break, her hereditary mental illness, triggered by romantic rejection, drove her to actions she could not modulate or stop. The escalation, from one poisoned chocolate to a city-wide poisoning campaign, supports this. Rational actors know when to stop. Theory 2. Christiana was not insane, but was a narcissist of rare capability. The false testimony at the inquest. The self-addressed poison parcel. The months of sustained deception. These are not the acts of a broken mind. They are the acts of someone who believed, completely, that she was smarter than everyone around her. Theory 3, and this is the theory that most modern psychologists find most compelling, is that Christiana existed in a category Victorian medicine had no language for: a deeply traumatized woman, shaped by a family history of mental collapse, who had developed a delusional attachment to Dr. Beard that had, when severed, triggered a dissociative episode. from which she never fully returned. The jury deliberated. They found her guilty of the murder of Sidney Albert Barker. The judge sentenced her to death. But within weeks, the Home Secretary commuted the sentence. Christiana Edmunds would not hang. Her hereditary insanity, her family's dark history, had, in the end, saved her life. She was to be confined, for the remainder of her natural life, at Broadmoor Criminal Lunatic Asylum. She was the first woman in British legal history to have a death sentence commuted to a permanent Broadmoor commitment. She would not be the last. Broadmoor in the 1870s was not the relatively humane institution it would eventually become. It was an asylum in the Victorian sense, high walls, iron locks, a place where the inconvenient were stored and forgotten. Christiana was 43 when she arrived. She would live there for 36 more years. Those who visited her in later years reported that she was, and this word comes up again and again, vain. She cared about her appearance. She spoke of Dr. Beard. She showed, by most accounts, no remorse for Sidney Barker or for any of her other victims. She died at Broadmoor on the 19th of September, 1907. She was 78 years old. John Maynard, the confectioner, never fully recovered his reputation. His shop survived, but the association with the poisonings haunted his business for years. An innocent man, used as a weapon and then discarded. Sidney Barker's family received no formal acknowledgement, no public apology, no compensation. Victorian justice had no framework for the families of murder victims. They buried their boy and they went home. Borough of Brighton, £20 reward. Alleged willful poisoning. Whereas several persons in the Borough of Brighton have been poisoned by eating chocolate creams purchased at a confectioner's shop in West Street. What Christiana's case gave Britain, though it would take decades to fully absorb, was a set of urgent questions about the relationship between women, criminality, and mental illness. About the ways in which Victorian society's treatment of unmarried women of a certain age, invisible, without purpose, without legal personhood in the fullest sense, might itself produce the conditions for catastrophe. Christiana was neither entirely mad nor entirely evil. She was a product of a system that had no place for her, no language for her pain, and no tools to intervene before the poison was already in the chocolates. And here is the thought I want to leave you with. John Maynard's shop at 39, West Street, Brighton, it's gone now. The street still exists. The buildings are different. You could walk past it today and never know. But somewhere in the records of the Brighton coroner's office, there is a document that states, in the careful copperplate handwriting of a Victorian official, that Sidney Albert Barker's death was accidental. It was not accidental. A woman bought chocolates, injected them with poison, returned them to a shop, and a little boy on holiday, a boy whose name was Sidney, who pointed at a sweet shop window because the chocolates looked good, ate them and died. And for a moment, a long, terrible moment, nobody noticed. Because she had made sure that they wouldn't.